2 frames. Now, if I really thought that was a serious picture, I would have shot like a roll of film in those days. It was a throwaway thing. I looked in, saw this thing, took the picture, and then left. I gave there's a very famous calligrapher, Dr. Ahmed Mustafa, who is from Egypt, and I was going to visit him one day, and I took him a print of that. And he looked at it and he said, "Oh, I think that picture's got golden ratio, divine proportion." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Didn't you ever study art?" I said, "No, I didn't. Yeah, I'm self-taught." I don't use the word convert because I think it's very confusing for people who aren't Muslim, because it kind of, as an outsider, it sounds like you were something and you became something else. And I never felt that. I've always felt that I'm the same person. Maybe I'm modified the way I lived, but inside I'm still the same person. I didn't become something different. And I think that's confusing for people, especially if the person who's become a Muslim suddenly starts dressing like an Arab or a Asian or something. That for a Westerner, that's really confusing. And I think it's an important message to put out. You don't become a different person. You're the same person. And many of them had never been photographed before. Many of them passed away after I did the picture, which was very disconcerting for me. I thought, well, if the word gets out, it's so arrogant to think that I had any power over everything. And I met Dr. Mustafa Badawi in Medina, and he said, no, that's the reason they let you take their picture. They were leaving, so it didn't matter anymore. I prefer people because they're just so fascinating, but it's harder for me for people because I'm quite a shy person, and I don't. It's kind of, you have to get over that because people being photographed usually are very nervous anyway. I'll never forget him. His name was Artie Rip, and he was the head of Buddha Records, and he wore like a cowboy hat, and he came into the flat, and he knew that I was interested in photography, and he said, and he sort of produced this silver box, and he said, "What do you think about this?" And he opened the silver box, and there was a Nikon camera body and a Canon, and there were lenses, and I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." The scholars said that there were Muslims in this country had 3 choices. So it was isolation, assimilation, or integration. Isolation is not acceptable because we're a community-led people, and assimilation means that you become part of the society, but you lose your core beliefs. And integration is the middle path. I know people don't like this word, but it's in the middle. And I think it's the best description I also am guilty of that because in the early years I was traveling all the time, and I left my wife looking after. I had my son from a previous marriage and 3 daughters, and she really looked after them. I mean, I used to come back, and it was difficult, being away from them, but I was doing my thing. And it was funny. I'm sorting out all my stuff in the loft, and I found all these postcards that I'd sent to the girls when they were very young. And I showed it to my daughter, and she said, "We always used to think that you went away and forgot about us." And that it was very clear that I did, but they were too young to read. So my wife would have read them to them. But, it was kind of, "Oh, you didn't forget us. You didn't just go away and forget us." It was just like, and it was, it's easy, but I needed to do it. This was it was my livelihood and what I was doing on my journey. So, yeah, I think that's probably the biggest sacrifice.